Let's look at the interesting question you might frequently see on the test. Determine the missing part. And you're presented with 5 hexagons that contains different types of arrows inside. And one arrow is missing. And you have 4 different choices presented at the bottom of the screen. Choice A, B, C, and D. Do you see the right fit for the missing part on the top? Give yourself 20 to 30 seconds to think through this and see if you can come up with the answer on your own. Did you figure out the answer? Let's continue to see how we can solve this challenge and get to the correct solution together. Let me explain to you how you can come up with the solution on your own. What we see here is 3 types of arrows. We see arrow with the straight body, another arrow with the curved body, and then we also see arrow with 2 arrowheads. As usual, my recommendation is always look for patterns. You see that the numbers 1, 3, and 5 are straight arrows. And then we have a pattern for curved arrows. You see that the shape 2 and 4 contain curved arrows. And then you also see that the pattern of straight arrows going down in the first and in the 5th shape. Now, knowing the patterns, you can determine that the missing arrow is curved. But as you can see, there are at least 2 curved arrows. And typically the patterns on the test is symmetricity. So the arrow in choice C is not symmetrical to the arrow in the shape 2. This is why the correct answer here is choice A. Hopefully you've nailed this question, or in case you didn't, now you would know how to answer similar problems on the test. Let's look at the interesting question which tests your visualization as well as analytical skills. Which of the following comes next in the sequence? And you have a sequence of 4 by 5 rectangles, and each rectangle contains a pie inside of the rectangle. The figure 4 is missing, and there are 4 different choices for you to select from. Choice A, B, C, and D. Now might be a good time to pause this video to see if you can come up with the solution on your own. Did you figure out the answer? Let's continue to see how we can get to the correct solution together. As usual, my advice is always the same. Always look for patterns. And here the pattern is symmetricity. You see, if we draw a line in the middle, you can see that the shapes, the pie pieces, are symmetrical. You see the pie in the first square, which mirrors the pie in the last square, because the pies in the second and third squares are also mirrored. Hopefully you've nailed this question and now know how to answer similar problems in the test. Let me share with you a tricky question which tests your pattern recognition as well as logical reasoning skills. Which of the following comes next in the sequence? And you're presented with rectangle, which has multiple squares. And one of the squares is missing. It has a question mark inside. And you have 4 different choices: A, B, C, and D. Take a close look to see if you can come up with the answer. Now might be a good time to pause this video to see if you can come up with the solution on your own. Did you figure out the answer? Let's continue to see how we can get to the correct solution together. There are a couple tricky parts about this question. Number 1 is the general flow of squares, and then there is a sequence of arrows inside the squares. For example, we're starting the flow right here, not in the corner. It's kind of in the middle of the upper row, and then you need to follow the red arrows for the general order. The arrows inside the squares rotating clockwise, and what you can see is the arrowhead for that smaller arrow always points to where it was located in the previous box. So the correct answer here is choice A. I truly hope that you've nailed this question and got to the correct answer on your own. But in case you need more questions or practice problems, please make sure to check out my... Let me share with you an interesting question which tests your reasoning skills. Determine which of the following is missing, and you're presented with the large square which could be logically broken into 3 by 3 small squares and 4 different choices. Choice A, B, C, and D. You have a missing square in the bottom left corner. Do you think you can figure out the answer? Now might be a good time to pause this video and give yourself 10 to 20 seconds to see if you can figure out the solution. Do you have the answer? Let's continue to see how we can solve this puzzle and get to the correct solution together. We're presented with the very interesting challenge here. But challenge could be broken down into two patterns. The first pattern is the flow of small squares around the middle, and the second pattern is the flow of triangles inside the small squares. Pattern 1 rotates clockwise and starts in the upper left corner. You see that the pattern rotates around the cent clock, which is in the middle, and cent clock does not participate in the pattern. And pattern 2 is determined based on where a triangle touches the lines of the small square. For example, the triangle in the upper left corner touches the lines of the small square in the center you see on the top, as well as down at the bottom. Next one touches on the left and down. The following one touches in the up and also in the center. And you can continue this pattern to determine the missing item, which is choice B. It was a tricky question, but I hope by now you know what to look for and how to answer similar problems on the test. But in case you need more questions or practice problems, please make sure to check out my ebook in the description section of this video. And now, here's the question for you to try to solve on your own. If you come up with the answer, please make sure to post it in the comments. Here's the question. Which of the following comes next in the sequence? And you're presented with 4 different shapes, and shape number 4 is missing. You have 4 different choices to determine the next shape. Do you see the answer? One tip for you, always look for patterns. Give yourself 10 to 15 seconds to see if you can come up with the answer on your own. And if you figured out the answer, feel free to post it in the comment section of this video. Also, please make sure to include your rationale on how you solved this challenge, and I'll give you my feedback. I'm also planning to post the detailed answer to this and other challenge questions in my future videos. So make sure to subscribe and review my latest videos on the topic to learn about the answer and how to solve similar challenges on the test. Thanks for participating, and good luck solving this challenge. Let me share with you a tricky question which tests your pattern recognition and visual reasoning skills. Which of the following completes missing parts of the square? And you're presented with the 4x4 square, which contains different smaller squares inside, and 4 possible choices. Choice A, B, C, and D. Do you recognize the pattern? Now might be a good time to pause this video and give yourself 10 to 20 seconds to see if you can come up with the answer. Did you figure out the answer? Let's continue to see how we can solve this challenge together. Interesting question, isn't it? But as usual, look for patterns. If you look closely, you will see that the middle box right in the center of the larger square is symmetrical. So the L shape at the bottom and then another shape in the upper right corner, they represent symmetricity for this middle square, which consists of the 4 small squares. Couple important considerations when answering this question. 2 white boxes designed to confuse you. Lower left part of the larger square only has 3 white spaces in the form of L shape. Similar symmetrical pattern follows in the upper right corner. This is why the missing part consists of the shaded part, which completes the square in the center. So the correct answer here is choice A. Hopefully you've nailed this question and now know how to answer similar problems on the test. Let me share with you a tricky question from the test. I have confidence, though, that you might figure out the answer. Here's the question. What figure can be visualized upon combining the 2 rectangles? And you have 2 rectangles on the left. Both of the rectangles are 7x3, and you have 4 different choices. Choice A, graph. Choice B, shape. Choice C, letter. And choice D, number. Do you see the answer? See if you can pause this video for 10 to 15 seconds to give yourself some time to figure out the answer. Did you figure out the solution? Let's continue to see how we can get to the correct answer together. Let me explain to you how you can come up with the solution on your own. Upon merging of 2 rectangles, you can see that 8 can be visualized, and 8 is the number. So the correct answer is choice D, number. Hopefully you've nailed this question and now know how to answer similar problems on the test. Let's look at the interesting question which tests your pattern recognition skills. Determine the missing shapes inside the figure to complete the sequence. And you're presented with 2 by 2 figure. It has 2 missing shapes. And you have 4 possible choices: A, B, C, and D. Do you see the answer? Now might be a good time to pause this video and give yourself 10 to 20 seconds to see if you can come up with the solution on your own. Did you figure out the solution? Let's continue to see how we can solve this challenge together. As usual, to solve these types of problems on the test, you need to look for patterns. And there are 2 patterns here presented. Number 1 is the diamond pattern in the middle. And number 2 is the pattern of shapes on the outside of the smaller squares, which are unique. Outside shapes corners are always aligned with the corner of the smaller square as well. The 2 missing shapes also have similarities with other shapes present in the box. Upon combining, all triangles in the center form a diamond shape. Let's look at each one of these 2 patterns in more details. You should look for the triangle which matches the color, and upon combining, it should build a diamond. For pattern 2, the missing shape in the upper right corner should complement the shapes with the corners that can be exactly placed in the box. In this case, we selected green rectangle. You also notice that there is a pattern of green color on the opposite side of the squares, same as the purple colors on the opposite sides of other squares. So the correct answer here is choice D. Hopefully you've nailed this question and now know how to answer similar questions on the test. Let's look at the tricky question, which tests your knowledge of reasoning as well as the math skills. Here's the question. By analyzing the figure using a mathematical operation, how many stars should be present in the missing part of the circle? And you have a circle broken down into 4 equal parts. 3 parts of the circle already have stars, and they have 1, 2, and then 3 stars. And you have 4 different choices. Choice A, 2, choice B, 3, choice C, 4, and choice D, 5. So can you determine how many stars should blank part of the circle have? Give yourself 10 to 20 seconds to see if you can come up with the answer on your own. Did you figure out the answer? Let's continue to see if we can come up with the solution together. As usual, to answer any type of question, look for patterns. And here the pattern is symmetricity. So if you draw the line in the middle of the circle from top to bottom, you will see that you need to come up with the answer that would be symmetrical. There are multiple ways to solve this challenge, and we got a hint that we should use mathematical operation. We take the star from the left of the blank part of the square and add number of stars from the right part of the blank square, and we get 1 plus 2, which is equal 3. You can also use subtraction to come up with the answer. Can you figure out how to use subtraction to get to the similar answer? If you figure out the subtraction answer, please make sure to post it in the comment section of this video. Here is the question from the test you can try to solve on your own. Which of the following comes next in the sequence? You're presented with the sequence of 5 squares, and square number 4 is missing. You also have 4 different choices to answer this question. Choices A, B, C, and D. Do you think you know the answer? One tip for you here, always look for patterns. And if you figured out the answer, feel free to post it in the comment section of this video, and please provide the answer as well as the rationale. I will also post the detailed answer to this question in my future videos. So please make sure to subscribe and review my latest videos on the topic to learn about the answer and how to come up with the answers to similar questions on the test. Thanks for participating and good luck. Here's the tricky question from the real test, but somehow I have a feeling that you might come up with the answer on your own. Which of the following is formed when the shaded parts of the blocks are combined? And you have 4 different choices. Choice A, number. Choice B, shape. Choice C, letter. And choice D, chart. On the left, you're presented with 2 blocks. There are 2 4x5 blocks, and each block has white and shaded circles. See if you can come up with the answer and determine what happens when all these blocks are combined. Give yourself 10 to 20 seconds to see if you can come up with the solution on your own. Did you figure out the answer? Let's continue to see if we can solve this challenge together. The best way to solve these types of questions is to imagine a new block and understand what is formed when all the shaded circles are merged together from two original blocks. And upon merging, you will see that the heart is formed, which is represented here in the third block. And heart is a shape, so the correct answer here is choice B, shape. Hopefully you've nailed this question and now know how to answer similar problems on the test. This question is quite tricky, but I would like to show you the solution so we can solve this interesting and tricky question together. Which shape does not belong to the group? And you have 4 choices of shapes. Do you think you know the answer? Now might be a good time to pause this video to see if you can come up with the answer on your own. Did you come up with the answer? Let's continue and see how we can solve this challenge and get to the solution together. In this case, shapes can be grouped by number of sides in the shape. For example, you see that all the shapes in the left have 6 sides. If you count the sides, for example, in this shape, you will see that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Same with the hexagon, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And same with the arrow, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the correct answer here is choice A for the pentagon, which only has 5 sides, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hopefully you've nailed this question and answered it correctly, and now know how to answer similar questions and problems on the test. Thanks for watching. I encourage you to check out our daily question challenge in the community section of this channel. I also recommend that you check downloads in the description section of this video. Please also check out resources page on our website, howtoanalyzedata.net/resources. If you like the content, please give this video a big thumbs up. This tells us that you need more content like this. I would encourage you to share this video with other people that might be looking for the job. This will help them to get prepared and pass assessment test faster. Please consider subscribing and following this channel. We have a community of great people helping each other to get ready and pass the test. Please leave questions, comments, or suggestions in the comment section of this video. And all the best on your interview and assessment test. Thanks for watching.